people have been sleeping on this one. People have been sleeping on Mashle, Magic, and Muscles, because I do a poll every week on the channel and over on Twitter on which manga is the best, and each and every week Mashle has been coming in dead last, despite the fact that it has been one of the most interesting, entertaining, epic, and all of that jazz manga for quite a bit now. Now, we talked about Mashle, I want to say probably a year or so ago, when it only had 9 chapters out. Since then, it's come a long way with plenty of epic things going down, and currently where we're at right now with this arc, it's kind of crazy. It's very crazy. Now, if you don't know about Mashle, Magic, and Muscles, to give you a brief idea, imagine a Harry Potter-esque type of situation of like Hogwarts and magic and things like that, with a Saitama-esque character with that type of humor and that type of strength, and at the same time kind of a Outta or Rock Lee type of situation, being in a magic-filled world, or, you know, a world with superpowers, and you don't have any of those. You're just really freaking strong. So that's kind of Mashle, Magic, and Muscles in a nutshell, but there's so much more to it. And again, the current arc that we're in right now, if you're caught up, you know, you're about to know. Let's get into a little bit of that Mashle, Magic, and Muscles, baby. Let's do it!
No matter how you feel, get it done. No matter how you feel, get it done. No matter how you feel, get it done. No matter how you feel, get it done.
Now, a lot has happened since we last talked about Mashle. Last time I did that big video, we was again only 9 chapters deep. Since then, there's been a huge amount of things going down. I mean, alone, an arc or two ago, we had the execution arc, where the school and everybody found out that Mosh didn't have magic, that basically that, you know, scar on his face, the crack on his face was actually fake, and yeah, that he's just like really freaking strong. So there was a whole court hearing and things like that, which things is progressing fairly quickly in Mashle. Again, we're only 66 chapters as of the recording of this video into this manga, and Mosh has already been found out that he's a fraud and doesn't have magic powers, but he's just really freaking strong. They had a whole trial over it. They had now the Divine Visionary exams to see if he could possibly make it. Like, a lot of shit has gone down. And I'd say as of right now, the cast of characters we had, especially in particular the main characters we had, like we have Finn, he's cool, Dot, Lemon, like we have a nice little well-rounded cast of characters. Just keeping it real, Mosh though is kind of the big draw for me. Like, this is one of those series where hands down I love the main character. Mosh, he always, like, in certain regards breaks the fourth wall. He's constantly hilarious. I mean, in the latest chapter alone, this dude, huge revelation of his backstory, and he takes a nap in the middle of it. He's just like, yo, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't dreaming. Like, deadass takes a nap. So absolutely hilarious character, and my favorite by far. Like, this is one of those series where, yeah, my favorite is the MC, hands down. While other series I'll be like, you know, I like me this one or that one. No, Mosh Burn Dead is my dude. But in the Divine Visionary Selection Exam arc, we had basically like a tournament where Mosh is trying to, you know, move up in the ranks, because it's basically like, again, Hogwarts, where you need to kind of prove yourself and get a certain amount of, gold coins, if I'm not mistaken. And right now, his dorm, they don't have as much as the other ones. And again, he's trying to become the Divine Visionary, so that way he could save him and his father from being killed, because again, he was pushed into and kind of, you know, faked into the world without having magic. And I believe you're supposed to be executed if you don't have magic, if I'm not mistaken. And I love how they've constantly upgraded like the lines on your face. Like, if you have 1 line, that just means, you know, you're a normal magician, normal magic wielder. If you have 2, that means you're really strong. And if you have 3, that means you're like connected with God. You got godly powers of beyond belief. And again, these have been systems that have been implemented really quick. We're only 66 chapters and we have this whole big system. We've had exams, we've had, you know, again, Mosh being found out, like just a shit ton of stuff. And I like how we've had some of the other characters, again, the side characters or the side main characters, like Finn. He bossed up a lot in the Divine Visionary exam arc of, like, you know, he kind of stood up for Mosh after being kind of a wimp and things like that. He finally stood up. Reigns is dope. Like, there's just so many really cool characters. There's none in particular that outshine Mosh for me, but there's just a lot of really cool characters. And the art, again, I love how the author, clearly inspired by One Punch Man, how he does Mosh. Like, he'll have him really, really detailed when he's ready to kick ass, and then he constantly has that simplistic, almost chibi-esque look where he's just like confused about something, or it's a humorous point. Like, I love that, and it's almost every other chapter where that happens, and it's fun. It breaks the fourth wall. It makes things feel a little bit shaked up, and I like those humorous gag moments in a very serious point. I mean, not all the time, don't get me wrong. I don't want to do like his fingers is being ripped off and Mosh is like, I like cream puffs. Like, let's not take it that far. And thankfully it hasn't gone that far. But the latest arc in particular is where I feel like Mosh, especially once we get it animated, this is where Martial Magic and Muscles is going to explode with popularity because it's doing things that are kind of familiar, of course adding its own twist. And honestly, right now, the arc we're in right now, it feels like, what if the Harry Potter world had to experience Orochimaru's invasion of Konoha? Because that's genuinely what's going on right now with Innocent Zero invading the school and the exam in the middle of it all. They've invaded and we've got bombshells revealed. And I'm going to give you a little bit of a spoiler warning. If you haven't read or watched Martial Magic and Muscles, you should go read a few chapters and catch up. And yeah, because I'm about to spoil some big stuff. You've been warned. Because following Mosh and I believe it's Macaron, if I'm not mistaken, their big bout and the exam continuing, Innocent Zero start invading the exams, and we get the big bombshell of who's Mosh's real father, because the dude that he was with wasn't his real father. We find out that the leader of Innocent Zero father is seemingly Mosh's father. Well, kind of, sort of. Because in the latest chapter, we find out that this guy, Adam, is the original architect of the divine visionary. Like, he made all of this go. So think of like he's one of the original Hokages. Again, I'm just giving examples. I'm not saying that's a copy or anything like that. And back in the day, like, you know, he's the strongest for like centuries of magicians. And back in the day, nobody could stand up to his dark magic. And his strongest pupils were Wahlberg and Innocent Zero. So again, like, those were his original creations. So even if you want to compare it to, like, I don't know, Dragon Ball, just imagine Master Mutai and Master Roshi and the Crane Hermit, like that kind of scenario. Like, the Master Mutaio was the legendary one, and then Roshi and the Crane Hermit were his students that, you know, looked up to him and followed his lead. And apparently Innocent Zero has abandoned their humanity, because again, I want to say Innocent Zero is the person that he's fighting. Maybe I'm off on that. I'm not great with the names, forgive me on that. But we see dude doesn't have like a face, and then he reverts back to his old face when he was younger, which there's no way possible because Wahlberg is old as shit, aka Dumbledore is old as shit, and this dude just like morphed his face into normal, and Wahlberg is like, oh shit, you sold out your humanity. So basically it's like a classic case of, think like Yu Yu Hakusho Toguro, how Toguro sold out his humanity for, you know, power and things like that. It seems to be the case because also a big part of like this whole Innocent Zero thing is that they don't want to get older, because then it goes even more into like Orochimaru's invasion-esque type of deal, because apparently they have Ero Tensei back, Adam, the original creator of all this. He doesn't have his mind, like, you know, the first and second, how they didn't really have their mind when they were attacking Sarutobi and things like that. But he has his prime strength fighting there, and I ain't gonna lie, it's just been bombshell after bombshell. So Mosh's real father that created him, father is here, Innocent Zero's here. They're going up against Wahlberg. Wahlberg's fighting one of his old peers or people that was under Adam, and it's just been bonkers. And I ain't gonna lie, his name being Adam Jobs, Steve Jobs, really? Okay, Walter, this is what we're doing. Because we get a big flashback into Adam's younger days and how basically when he became so strong, he decided, you know what, if I'm strong, I need to be helping people. So in his later years in life, he spent it basically using public assistance for people that needed it, weaker people. And he came up with a slogan, Noblesse oblige, the strong serve the weak, because he decided, yo, we got to dedicate our lives to take care of weak people. So we got a big flashback into all of that. And then Necros Mance, he showcases that he resurrected Adam Jobs, and we see him come out of a coffin again, just really similar to the Edo Tensei. But yo, one of the things I really rock with about Wahlberg is that he was phased by it, don't get me wrong, like, holy shit, that's my master. But he was like, I bet I'm going to prove to you who's the strongest master. Because remember, it's been a long time, I'd imagine, since Adam Jobs has been dead. Wahlberg has trained up until this point where he's legendary. You know, he's the Dumbledore of Hogwarts at this particular point. So we're about to see basically Sarutobi versus Tobirama, that type of situation. And I'm all here for it, fam. This shit is wild. This shit is going crazy. And it gets crazier. Because again, I want to say it was Margaret or Macaron. Forgive me, I'm terrible with the names. That Mosh is going up against, and he starts breaking everything down to Mosh in detail about where he really comes from, who he really is. Because he says father created 6 blood relatives basically to put together the perfect body, and that Mosh was a creation to create the perfect body. Basically, he was made for spare parts, essentially. Like, really, really wild shit. So Mosh is basically, he even says like, yo, so what, I'm I'm basically like protein, because if you think about it, he don't got any magical capabilities. So if the other relatives, the other 5 that was created of the 6th collective to give this guy the ultimate perfect body, they're probably magical beings. He's probably just the brawn. And I ain't gonna lie, Masha's reaction, fam, this is something different. This is something different. This was less serious in terms of like, yo, this is supposed to be a big shocking moment. Mosh takes a nap. Like I said earlier, he takes a nap. He literally gets under the covers and takes a nap. He's like, yo, I just had to make sure this wasn't a dream. And his reaction was just like, oh, wow, really? My whole life? Wow. Like, really, really reminiscent of some One Punch Man Saitama shit. Maybe Saitama would be a little more like, fuck off. Like, where he's just more like, oh, really? So it's a little bit different, but definitely reminds me of that comedy, especially the way the usage of like the chibi-esque look that he takes, the simplistic look that he takes before he goes back into that serious, really detailed design of, I'm gonna beat your ass. Because then we find out that this guy that Mosh is fighting, again, I want to say that was Macaron or Margaret, he's like, yeah, I'm just a corpse that was created from the blood of father, and he's basically jealous that Mosh was actually picked to be like, you know, essentially the vessel. Kawaki, where you at? Vessel. To which Mosh smacks the fuck out of him. Yo, imagine you just find out all this crazy shit about you, like you're a toy for parts, basically. You're meant to make a car perfect and shit like that. And not only then, you follow that up with taking a nap and saying, oh shit, that's crazy. Then you slap the living shit out of the person and say, I'm gonna beat your ass. Don't forget, I'm epic. Like, don't forget that shit. And we got a big battle coming. Honestly, right now, this arc of Mashle is straight heat, fuego, flames. Mosh's big revelation of what he is, who he is, which honestly makes sense. I mean, don't get me wrong, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of this is bullshit, just because like you never freaking know with Mashle, things get crazy, it's plot twist after plot twist. But even if it's not, that also would be very interesting. So he's basically like a puppet, think Golder's 7 Deadly Sins type of deal, except Mashle, like, you know, he has his own mind, and he's not really with the bullshit. He probably doesn't really care too much about any of this big reveal about himself. Again, he took a freaking nap in the middle of all this shit. And then Wahlberg going up against Adam Jobs, the creator of the Divine Visionaries, and going up against his former comrade there. Like, a lot to digest in this. Again, it feels like Orochimaru's Konoha invasion, like in original Naruto, with a very interesting Saitama Harry Potter twist that I gotta keep mentioning because it's very, very there, it's present. But yeah, people, Mashle, Magic and Muscles, I'm curious what you guys think. If you are caught up to the manga, how you feeling about this arc, how you feeling about Mashle. I'll be honest with you, if you're sleeping, it's only a matter of time until you wake up. Once this gets animated, this is going to be big. This is going to probably, to a certain degree, replace that consistent hype that One Punch Man had. One Punch Man's hype kind of died down after season 2. I feel like Mashle is going to grab a lot of that audience and a new age audience, because it mixes a lot of epicness with also breaking the fourth wall and not taking itself too serious. It's almost like a kind of sarcastic commentary on Shonen Jump tropes and Shonen tropes in general, but again, still having a really badass story and epic fights, and yeah, Saitama, Harry Potter, Asta Rock Lee, like all of that jazz. And if you haven't, if you've heard all of this, yeah, go read this shit. It's really good. But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Hit that bell to get all notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links of course in the description below. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life, boy. Have an awesome day. Peace in. And yo, Mashle, Magic and Muscles, stop sleeping. 66 chapters as of the recording of the video. Maybe 67 by the time this is out. I don't know. You should be checking it out, fam. I'm talking about it for a reason. It's hype. It's about to be big. It's about to be big. What are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? Mashle, Magic and Muscles, go! Have an awesome day.